Hey everyone. So this is a little bit more on the negative side, which haven't really done in any of my videos as far as I can remember. And I'm being negative not for just the sake of complaining and whining, but for the future of this game. I want this game to be successful. There's still two more expansion packs that are coming out, and we have two more chances at this game being great. So I really, really want this game to succeed. I've been playing AOM since I was a little kid, and now I'm an adult. So I have a lot of interest in the success of this game. This is one of the only games that I actually really enjoyed playing over and over and over again, as compared to other like console games where you play it once and you put it down and you're over with it. I think some of the things that need to be addressed, this is my personal opinion, and the reason I'm making a video about this rather than, just sending a message to the devs or something like that, is because I want everyone else to chime in, right? I want this comment section to be filled with things that you think that should be improved, so that the devs can actually read this and see this and apply this to the future expansion packs that are coming out. Believe me, they do actually read feedback. I know for a fact that they're going to read it. I know that we have some really good devs that care about our game. They just need to be pushed in the right direction, or they at least need to see what everyone is struggling with and suffering with so that they can actually apply the resources to fix them going forward. So enough of that. If you guys don't mind, please, share the word. Whatever you guys think needs to be improved, just put it in the comments section below, or make a Reddit post about it, and or message the devs directly on the I think it's the AOE website, but I don't really do that personally myself. But if you think that's the better medium to do it on, by all means, you should do it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is from a playstyle perspective, and then I'm going to go on more to like in terms of the ranked lobby and some bugs and stuff like that. But Age of Mythology, I played the original game and I played Retold, and I love both of these games. I really love Retold as well, but there was some aspects which the older version of the game was far superior in, and that was early game playability. In Retold, what's happening is there's nothing really worth fighting for at the beginning stages of the game. So usually what happens is we're always bottled up in our base like this. And then we have food, which is your first hunt pack, which is usually enough to get your villagers out and advance to the next stage. Then you have a ton of berries, and then you have chicken. So one of the things, the main things that was in the older version of the game was you didn't get both of these. You didn't get a chicken pack and a berry pack on most maps. You had a limited set of food, so you needed to move out of your base a lot sooner. Now on Retold, you don't really need to move out of your base because you have so much food that's in your base, and your opponent is not going to be able to like block you on any of these resources, right? You're not going to be able to food block somebody anymore because if you're going to muster up a massive army and try to food block someone, he's just going to go on chicken and berries. Now, the argument here is okay, he goes on berries, he's going to get a lower gather rate. Same thing on chickens. But the gather rates are so similar on Retold, whereas the hunt is like 0.92, and then I think chickens are like zero point 0.8 or 0.7 or something like that. If you factor in the walking time between here and here, and the walking time between here and here, you're going to realize that ultimately it's not a big difference between taking hunt and taking your berries. So the disparity the between the two resources is not that significant. So what does that all mean? That means that now you can't food starve your opponent. In the older version of the game, food starving your opponent early on was very, very useful. Now, one can argue that okay, not everyone likes early game tempo, early aggression, but usually what's going to happen is people are going to sit in their base and there's going to be nothing to attack. What they're going to do is they're just going to keep on jumping ages. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to show you guys some examples because it's easy for me to say one thing, but let me just show you guys an example. So I'm going to share my screen very shortly, which is right now. This is a game I played versus Mista. All right. And now this is an Egyptian mirror. So in Egyptian mirrors, you usually nothing really happens anyways, but you're going to see that it's 6 minutes into the game. Nothing has happened yet. Let's keep on going. 10 minutes into the game, I have chariots that are just roaming the map, but realistically, there's no actual action going on. There's no fighting going on. There's nothing worth fighting over because everything is secure within your base. I don't think a single unit has been lost at this point. There's some raiding going on, which is 13 minutes into the game, right? So like I would say around 13 minutes into the game is when the first battle happened. So you're just sitting around waiting for things to, waiting for actual action to occur. Now, in Retold, you advance faster compared to the old game, but once you advance, there's really not much you can do. You can only take a fight if your opponent's willing to fight you. If the opponent doesn't really feel the need to fight, then you're just going to both sit in your base and nothing's going to happen. So let's look at a couple more examples. Let's see if I can find one. Now, hybrid water maps are a little bit different. There's action right from the get go. So that's a good thing. But what about like this one, for example? This Gaia versus ISIS game. Both of us took a second town center. So it's 8 minutes into the game. Really nothing has happened. We're just zoning each other. Nothing has really happened at this point. So, still at this point in the game, besides Ancestors and Eclipse that was casted on me, we're both on our sides of the map and really nothing is happening. We're just sitting there. Now, the first battle that occurs is around same thing, 12, 13 minutes into the game. That's when something actually happens because at this point in time, all that's happening is just zoning, raiding and zoning, raiding and zoning. There's no actual military combat. Now, I want to show you guys something else, which I just thought of right now. So I should have prepared this ahead of time, but I just realized I have a video of me and Mista playing from way back in the day. We played on AOM a lot of tournaments together, and I have one game which I can show you guys.
I played it once.
Whoops, that's not the one. So
because it helps in the
oops,
myth.
that's the Boit video that I was watching. All right, so this is the game. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so me and Mista played these games a long time ago. And I remember, okay, so now look at the difference between these two. I had to move out of my base for food immediately because in the old game, hunt actually mattered a lot more, external food sources. So the timer is what, 6 minutes into the game, and the action's already started. 6 minutes and we're already fighting in the middle, right? There's already action going on. There's a threat to this position right here, and we are fighting around the map. So, am I saying the old game is superior? No, I'm not saying that. I do think there are some aspects of the old game which are superior, and I think this is one of them. Because the game started off right off the bat, 5, 6 minutes into the game, you're already like starting the action, real action, not just raiding around the map and doing nothing. You're actually fighting. So there's the games can end quick too, right? So like Retold games end quick too, but in the old AOM, you could end games at 7, 8 minutes into the game. Once you lose your secondary hunt, sometimes the game is already over. Now look, this is a major escalation that happened at 8 minutes into the game. This in Retold is very rarely that, I mean, depending on certain matchups, but most of the time there's not that much escalation that's happening this early. Usually it's after the second gold mine runs out. Here, my gold mine is still fully functioning, right? And still we're fighting because we're fighting over food, which is something that you don't get in Retold anymore. And you're gonna see, I don't know how long this game took, but there's action all around the map. Now this is a matchup in which action is guaranteed, right? So because it's Egyptian versus Norse, so there's usually always action. But every game was like this. Well, not every game actually. I'll take that back. But most games were like this. You're fighting. So look, even though I took a second TC at this point, right? 7 minutes into the game, a major escalation happened, right? Now, you're probably saying that you probably watched a lot of games where this happens too, and it's true. Like, there's a lot of games with like, you know, Wadjet pushes and Sphinx pushes and stuff, but the vast majority of the games are mostly just going to be from just when the second gold mine runs out, that's when the real aggression would start off, right? Because and here's my suggestion, okay? And I could be completely wrong about this, but I think that if there's something worth fighting over, right? For example, food, then players are going to get started on the map much earlier. 6, 7 minutes into the game, you're going to start fighting. You're going to see the difference is 9.92 a second here, 0.74, which is pretty significant, right? And then chickens are somewhere in between. If this was more extreme, then people would have to fight more over the map, right? If the difference between hunting and berries was more extreme, then you'd have to move out sooner and there would be more action right off the bat. The second thing is, I don't think you need two food sources. I think we need to remove one of these food sources. I don't think you need chickens and berries on every single map, or else there's no need. There's going to be no reason to actually try to push your opponent because it's so easy to just turtle up. So that's my first thing. Now this can easily be corrected. You're going to need to change You can just take a custom map, remove the berries or remove the chickens or give either or, and this is automatically, you can automatically test this. But if you're going to be doing this, in my opinion, other changes need to happen at the same time. If you're going to make the game more aggressive in terms of you're forcing your opponents to go get food in the middle of the map, or try to get hunt on the sides or something like that, then I think these towers need a little bit of a buff too, because now if you have an army here, if you're defending this spot, it's going to be hard to defend two spots at the same time, right? You need some sort of static defense to help you, give you time for your army to rotate around if needed. So I definitely think that the tower needs a little bit of a buff. Nothing significant, nothing huge, but it definitely needs a buff so that this type of gameplay can be included. And once again, this is my opinion, right? Like everyone's gonna have their own opinion, but this is mine. I personally think that having two food sources in your base is just gonna create turtling, right? While Retold, raiding and zoning, that's there. I'm not denying that, but I think the real fighting, 6, 7 minutes into the games, it doesn't really happen. It always happens when this gold mine usually runs out. That's the main time an escalation occurs. Anyways, I've said the same thing over and over again. Let's move on to my next point. My next point is god powers are way too strong in this game. God powers and myth units. And now I don't know how you're going to fix that, right? There's a lot of balancing to do. But the fact that, like, if somebody casts flaming weapons and you can just automatically lose the game right there, or if somebody goes like 3 or 4 mummies and uses eclipse, it can end the game right there. Or what else? There's so many other things that can happen, right? Like, let's think about some. If somebody, let's say that a Contarius push just comes in, completely just overruns you. That little timing. It's these little timings that happen that can completely sway the entire game, right? And now this is only from my gameplay. This is what I've seen. I think it might differ depending on the elo you're in, but just personally, I feel like god powers and myth units are creating these really strong timings, right? And timings are going to be there in every RTS game. You're going to have timings, but these timings are way too strong and they're just completely changing the way the game is played. So what do I mean by that? I mean by, instead of having skirmishes here, and across the map, fighting over food, fighting over territories, strategy, right? That's, in my opinion, more fun than turtling up in your base, making like 20 Herser, running over to your opponent's side of the map, and then just doing a flaming weapons push and just killing your opponent, right? Or another thing, let me give you another example. ISIS, and once again, this might be only in high elo, but ISIS just going for, straight to Mythic with Ancestors and Eclipse, goes for Son of Osiris, goes for, sorry, not Son of Osiris, goes to Thoth, meteors your base, and then goes Valley of the Kings and just spams units into your base. That's a really, really strong timing. So what is the response by an opponent? Now, the response is usually kill my opponent before he gets that crazy timing, right? Before he gets that crazy power spike. And then these type of games, in my opinion, are not fun to play. Trying to kill your opponent before he gets some crazy timing or crazy amount of strength, um, that's generally, it's okay, I guess, but it's just, there's so much better gameplay that you can create rather than creating one time, you know hit or miss kind of scenarios, or kill or be killed scenarios. I would say that's the better way to put it. Kill or be killed, right? You either kill your opponent or he kills you. That, in my opinion, is not fun. So I'm a bigger proponent in you scaling back a little bit on the powers of god powers, right? Scaling a little bit back. I think myth units are in a decent spot, except I really do think the mummy is somewhat busted. I know I made a video where I said maybe, but the more I play and the more people are starting to use the mummy in actual gameplay, the more I realize it's extremely strong. So anyways, off topic. I think we should scale back these power spikes. The game should be more about skirmishes, small, tiny skirmishes around the map, and battles, rather than kill or be killed, major timing pushes, major power spikes. These things I think should be reduced significantly, and I think that's what creates a more enjoyable game. I don't think, like, for example, the other games I played, AoE 4, Age of Empires 4, Age of Empires 2, I played on a casual basis. There was not, as far as I can remember, there weren't these crazy power spikes, right? That Age of Mythology has. There were more smaller, nuanced timings that happened, right? In Age of Empires 4, you had like one person got to age 3 or whatever, they had men at arms, knights that can, kind of roll you over if you're not ready for it. But usually it was not as significant as it is in Age of Mythology. So that's my second point. Just to recap, first point, I think create a base or create a scenario where both players have to or are incentivized to actually obtain map control and fight over the middle of the map or something along those lines. Don't create scenarios in which you have to and both players feel it's best to turtle. That's my first point. Second point, I think scale back on these power spikes. It's just kill or be killed is not fun, in my opinion. Um, I think it's better, more enjoyable gameplay when you have skirmishing, more smaller skirmishes than just one major battle and the game is over. That's my second point. And before I get to my third point, I don't think every single game of Age of Mythology is like this. I have a lot of games where I have tons of skirmishes, and I have a lot of games where there's no kill or be killed scenario, but there are those kill and be killed scenarios, right? So another thing that a friend of mine was mentioning too, and I posted this video just before this one, which was this 3 minute and 5 second Lido push. Now this is actually really insane, but people haven't really gone around to being able to utilize it to its fullest. Imagine I have a forward gold mine like this, and the Kronos player time shifts his tempo right here, sends 3 automatons at 3 minutes into the game. How are you going to defend that? Like, that's not fun when you just get completely killed or pushed back right from the start of the game. These crazy timing pushes, once again, I think it's just because the game is somewhat new and things are still being found out as of right now. But I think these type of things need to be somewhat addressed and a little bit deeper as well. Okay, so the second point I want to talk about, and this one hits me because I in 2003, 2004 I was a casual player, right? I played it, well no, not really 2004, but I think when I was 12, 13 years old. And I would go into the multiplayer lobby, and I remember there was a big chat box right here, and tons of people were talking about the game together, and they were, communicating, talking about strategy, and the game, and it felt so the game felt so alive. It felt like I was in the company of many different friends, and we're just having a good time together playing the game, right? Obviously, there was bad times to that too. There was a lot of flame wars and stuff like that, but overall, it was a positive experience. I didn't feel lonely when I went to the multiplayer lobby, and I want to give you guys an example because it's easy for me to say one thing, but and let me see if I can find one really quickly. I can't find one right now. Maybe I'll link one afterwards. Age of Mythology ESO lobby. I think regardless, okay, even extended edition, right? Let's just look at this video right here. I'm not sure who did this one, but let's just have a quick look. All right, look at this one right here. You log in, and the first thing you're addressed with, or the first thing you see is a big chat box right here at the bottom. And people are, I think extended edition was a little bit kind of dead. It wasn't that active, so there wasn't that many people chatting. But as soon as you log into the game and you go onto your ranked multiplayer or just multiplayer in general, you're going to be able to communicate with people. So, you can ask questions. You can say, does anyone want to play this type of scenario with me? Does anyone want to face the AI with me? It was just a much brighter experience, just even figuratively. Like look at this. It looks so much brighter and happier in a nicer environment, right? Now I didn't use this extensively. I didn't play that much extended edition. I played the other one. But even the 2003 version of Age of Mythology, it was so inviting to the casual player. And I think casuals are what make or break a game, right? Us players, I think most people watching this video are a little bit are maybe some mostly casuals, but a lot of top players are watching this and mid levels, and you know I think generally this is where multiplayer is made this is what makes multiplayer fun. It's when you're communicating with others, you're talking to others, you're interacting with others, and you don't feel lonely. You go online to have a good time with friends and be social, right? You don't go online to play by yourself. If you want to play by yourself, you would be just playing single player. But when you go on the Retold lobby, in my opinion, and once again, this is my opinion. If you disagree with me, feel free to put this in the comment section below. But I feel like a little bit lonely, right? Now you can browse games, which is in all of them, right? But even this one, I feel like this is just so clustered. It's hard for me to actually go through this. Like, I don't know. This is just my personal opinion on it, right? There's no chat box, there's no interaction. I feel somewhat, even as a top, like a ranked player, right? As a top player that's playing ranked, I want to be able to actually just, like let's say I'm searching and then the rank leaderboard is here. I feel like the design is just so corporate. Let's put it that way. It's such a corporate design. It's not a gamery design, in my opinion, right? It's too corporate, it's too organized. Well, it's disorganized in the sense that, let's say for example, right, there are ranked ladders in the game. So it's here, bottom left hand side leaderboard here. If I click on it, I'll see who's at the top right now, but if I think it's more intuitive if you had put it somewhere around here. Let's say you're searching for a game. You don't need this massive window right here to search for a game. You can have split screen, a smaller portion here, and another portion here with the rank lobby. So now it feels a little bit more intuitive and a little bit more interactive. Like, okay, I'm gonna play ranked. What ranked am I today? Am I ranked 50? Right. So let's say I'm ranked. Let's give you an example. Let's say I go to multiplayer, I go to the leaderboards. Where am I? I don't know. I haven't been playing that much ranked recently either, but let's see where I am right now. I'm number 14. Okay. It would be so much nicer if I click into this, I see, okay, where exactly am I right now? And then I see, oh, I'm 14. I really want to get top 10. Let me just play a couple games and let me get top 10. That will automatically make my experience better. Now, if I want to find that, I'm going to have to look for it, which is right over here, which right here, I have to go look for it, right? Which is not a big deal, right? It's a small little thing, but most players are just going on browsers and going to aom.gg or aom stats, and then they're looking for it there. I think it would be far more intuitive. Let's say we look at Recon's profile, while I'm searching, if I can get this information on the side, like a split screen, it would be better, right? So, anyways, that's a small thing that doesn't really impact the casual player, but that's just one aspect where you can kind of connect, make a more interactive experience for the end user. Um, I really do think a chat box, like right in the middle of this square in the middle, would be so much nicer. I'll give you guys a little bit of a story. I had a player, right? Sorry, I had a student. I was coaching him and I was giving him some lessons. I only had one student, and he was enjoying himself. He was loving it. And eventually, what happened was the friends that he was playing the game with all stopped playing, right? So he felt, maybe he didn't tell me the full story, but this is what I gather from it. The people that he played with stopped playing. So, he didn't really have a good time just playing by himself, so he kind of just moved on to another game. Now, if he had an interactive, like let's say as soon as he entered the multiplayer lobby and he was greeted with a lot of people talking, you had different chat rooms, beginners only, scenarios, experts only, etc., etc. Then he could easily find other people to play with, create new friendships, and then have just a better time overall in the ranked experience. I think this needs to be a little bit more alive. I think it's too corporate. It's organized in the sense that it gets you to what you want to do. Like if I want to play ranked, okay, it's super easy. You click ranked, you go in your ranked. But you should be more interactive, right? I go ranked, what rank am I? Where do I want to go? Who's at number 1 right now? Who's number 10, right? That's one thing. And then I don't want to keep on talking about it, but the chat box is the second thing. So these little tiny things make a drastic difference in the experience of a casual player or even a top expert level player, right? So people that are ranked multiplayer hard, like tryhards, they also care about these things as well. I would love the fact that like if I came onto the game today and I saw, I was gonna play a couple games and while I'm waiting, I saw some people chatting and it was an interesting subject. I wanted to chime in. I could chime in, right? Or I can see that there are some new players that need help and they have questions and they're confused. I can chime in. I can give them some tips and stuff, right? Right now, we have all of these things, but they're not online. Like for example, we have communication, but it's usually via Discord, or we have stats, but the best stats are all web browser based on AOM stats or aom.gg. Not everything should be in one little package. And I think it's super easy to do as well. I don't think it takes that much. If a 2003 version of the game had it, I don't see why a 2024 version of the game cannot have it. So that's my opinion on the online database. Now, this one I'm not too familiar with, but a lot of the people in my Discord channel said the same. So what I'll actually do is I'm just going to bring this up and I'll show you guys, which is right here. So a lot of people are having lots of issues with bugs. Like if you can see that a lot of people are saying there's a lot of out of syncs going on. There's a lot of what's it disconnect. So another thing that I think the old version of the game had as well is, let's say you're playing a 3 versus 3 with your friends. If you're playing a 3 versus 3 and you've invested so much time into like getting to the late game, like 20 minutes in, and one player drops, it's really unfun if he doesn't have the chance to reconnect. I remember in the old version of the game, if somebody dropped, let's say somebody disconnected, they would have all the players, like let's say there's 5 players remaining in this 3 versus 3, they can wait as long as they want for that player to reconnect, and then they can just rejoin the lobby and they can start playing again. As far as I'm told, as far as I'm aware, you can't do that anymore. So that once the player drops, I feel like it's too late. You're gonna have to start again, right? So I think that's really big as well, because people are gonna get tired of that. Um, and it looks like there's other bugs as well, right? Yeah, this one I have as well. Agree. So like when I'm trying to, let me show you guys, right? So I've also mentioned this to the devs as well. So if I go to skirmish and I go and I want to play a game, like there's 2 players, let's say there's only 2 players here, standard, me and the AI, and I'm just gonna do reveal all map size so I can show you what I mean. So once again, there's only 2 players, team one, team two. I start a game, and now look, there's 3 players, and I don't know how to fix this. I've tried everything. I've talked to the devs, and still I still don't know how to fix this. So whenever I want to test something versus the AI, I'm forced to go all the way out of here, multiplayer host, and then I would do it here. Imagine a casual player. You get home from work, they have a couple hours to play, before they get busy. You think they're not gonna waste it. If they're gonna go here and then they're not gonna be able to play what they want to play, usually they're just gonna switch to another game. And this is huge. You can't have these type of bugs, in my opinion, anymore, especially after like 4 months or so. I think these need to be addressed and need to be fixed, and these are urgent things, because especially when the expansion comes out, this is our second chance at this game being successful in a bigger way than it is right now. So I really think that that's something that needs to be fixed. And my last point I want to make as well is content creation. Now, I think a game's success is based on, number one, the game itself. Is it fun to play? Number two, is there an interactive community? Well, I think that's the second most important thing. And the third thing I think that lures people into the game and then keeps people is content creation. I think that more, like if you look at Age of Empires 2, there's lots of big names that are doing content creation. Now, Age of Empires 2 is a lot bigger as well, right? You have what's his name? He's really big. I think his name is, well, there's also T90, which is huge. I think he's a very, very big content creator for Age of Empires 2. And then there's Spirit of the Law. That's what I was thinking about. And Spirit of the Law, he posts a lot of these amazing videos with that are really, really detailed and informative, which I really enjoy watching, even though I don't play AoE 2, right? So I feel like AOM players should try to put up more as well. And I think I've tried to do my part as well. But the one thing that I feel like for example, let me just share my screen rather than just blabber about it for a while. Let's go to my screen. If you have top players, like for example, Recon, right? Now Recon has been trying to post out videos, but you can see that you kind of get demoralized when you're not getting that many views. And even myself, like you can see my YouTube viewership, I don't personally care that much at this point. I just try to do what I can, but it is demoralizing, right? When go from, you know, 12,000, 10,000 views all the way down to like 1,000 views, which I know it's going to happen. As the game comes out, it's more popular, and then the game you slowly simmers away. But even like a player like the Mista, who's honed his craft, who has amazing strategies and stuff, getting only 1,000 views is a little bit tough. So what initially happens is, you get 1,000 views, your views start going down, and then eventually you're like, okay, this is not worth it. I'm not getting that many views. Maybe I should focus on something else like Twitch, and then you just get demoralized. What I'm trying to say is we should support one another. I think that even if you don't watch, for example, Iron Maiden, right? If you don't watch his videos, you should go there and you should just, like it. So like this one here. You just go there, like his video, and then, support him, share him, and then just spread the knowledge, spread his channel as much as you can. By doing that, we're just all, if more people succeed in the content creation side, we're all going to benefit from it, right? We should always try to uplift one another. And I think that Um, I think personally, I think that as much as you can, as much as we can, we should, try to, like, for example, if you see a really good, nice video that the Mista made, you should go on Reddit, post it, and let the people know. Same thing with Soup, Iron Maiden, Recon. Try to uplift one another, and I think that's better for our game in the long run. So the last point, let me just summarize it. I think I went a little bit too much into it. But essentially, I think that our game succeeds when we all work together to uplift one another. So if I see that, my my friends like Recon, the Mista, Soup, Maiden, they do a new video, I think it's best that you try your best to you click that like button, you watch the video for a little bit, you share it with your friends if you think it's important, informative, and you try to spread the knowledge, spread the information. I think that will get more people into the content creation side. And I think content creation itself is what actually drives people to the game. It's what brings new players in, and it's what keeps the existing players happy, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say that I posted a bunch of gameplay videos right now, and let me just share my screen 1 second. So I just did a bunch of gameplay videos, and I've been trying my best to post these as much as I can if I think the game is worth watching. And now let's say that there's a person, a casual player who's struggling in a certain matchup, right? For example, this new strategy versus automatons, 3-minute automatons. I know a lot of people are going to struggle versus that, including myself. So if I think somebody's going to struggle with something, then I post it, they learn from it, and then they don't get so frustrated when they lose to it. And I think if we post more like videos like this, it's going to help the casual player base stay more retained into this game. Because if you're a casual player and you just got like completely destroyed by like 20 chariots or 30 chariots, you're going to rage and you'll be like, this game is really imbalanced, it's not fun, and you're going to want to quit, right? But that's why I kind of like post videos where I think that, I mean, it's not only those type of videos, but I try to post videos as much as I can that I think that casual players will be able to learn from. Now, when somebody says they're struggling with versus chariots, I can show them this video where I played versus Pegasus, and even though I was down like 4 to 2 TCs and he was spamming nothing but chariots, I was still able to obtain victory, right? So you can kind of learn from the success of others, and casuals in general will be able to do so as well. So I think the content creation side, we should all try our best to post as many videos as we can, that are going to help others, especially like somebody like Automaton. I was watching some of his videos, and he has some amazing videos, right? I think I watched most of them, and he has some really, really nice videos. I shared it with as many people as I know. They shared it with me. We go in and we like it, we watch it, more of it. I joined his Discord group. So I think this is what we need to do. Like, we need to enable creators like Automaton, or even like another person, AOM Visions. He does amazing stuff. Like, if you watch some of his cinematics, it's mind blowing how the stuff that he can do. But in any case, I think like this video has probably gone on for quite some time. So I think I kind of made some of my points. I hope I conveyed that in accurately. I did not have a script, so I just said what I had to say. So a little bit raw, but let me know if you guys agree. Let me know if you guys disagree. And if you think there's something that the devs need to do to make this game better, or because we have two more chances. I want to like two more like, it's not saying that we're doomed right now. The game is still in a healthy spot. I'm still enjoying it. It's still pretty active. But I think to make our game grow and succeed even more in the future, I think we need to address some of the issues. So by allowing the dev community to know what's wrong with the game, we're allowing them to actually action it for the expansions that are probably coming in January or February or whenever it's coming out. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm about to lose my voice. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree or disagree, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.